I didn't get the Tottenham kit this season. I just didn't like any of the 3 that we had.
Yeah. You didn't like the blue-green one?
And I had the kit from last year.
Oh. No, Phil, you're back. You're fine.
Yeah.
Oh, Mark's here today. What's up, Mark?
Hi, Mark. Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Am I right? Am I right?
I didn't get it. I'm sorry.
Highmark Stadium. That's the name of the.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah.
Took me a minute and a half.
Goose is mad online. Wait, whoa.
Goose is mad. Did they lose?
Oh, they're going extra time, eh?
Oh boy.
That's not. Yikes.
They had a goal last time I saw.
Stoppage time goal disallowed, apparently. Let me click through on that hashtag.
Chaos Squad, but also FTC. That FTC does stand for something.
Yeah, the Federal Trade Commission.
Related to soccer.
Ferguson, totally shocker. Yep, nailed it.
It was funny.
Oh wait, no, that starts with an ass. I'm an asshole.
Actually, I'll save this for the show.
Yeah. Fergie time.
Hounds won.
Way.
3-0.
Wow. You know, when I may say this on the show, but when Hartford was up 2-0, I was like, boy, by far the worst team in the USL is doing pretty good, damn good against one of the best NPSL teams, right?
You gonna walk that back now that Charlotte are in extra time against the Florida Soccer Soldiers, which is now the new worst name in professional, well, in soccer in the United States.
It's pretty bad.
It's really terrible.
I don't know. Real Salt Lake is still a thing.
But like the Florida Soccer Soldiers, like what is that? What does that even mean? Are they all veterans?
Maybe it's a team of people who used to be soldiers.
That's what I saw on Twitter. But then someone else said that wasn't true.
I can't.
So I can't. I don't know.
Their Twitter. I'll go to their Twitter account. Oh, only 4 followers, or only 171 followers, 4 following.
So I'm doing better than they are.
That's where we are in life.
Yep.
Got him, Evan. You win in life.
Yeah, I really don't know.
Me or that whole club of people? The club about us. Here we go.
But yeah, it does force you to walk it back because it's all pretty random, somewhat meaningless, even though it's fun and awesome.
There is definitely nothing about the military on their website in their like club mission statement.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then never mind.
That's right. Okay, so I remember now. That just reminded me. So then somebody's like counter argument was, I think they're an Argentinian-based team. Like I think that they were founded by an Argentinian manager, owner, and coach. And I don't know if the majority of the players are Argentine, but they were like in Argentina. A lot of players and teams are referred to as soldiers, and so that's why they went with it or something.
Okay.
Like that.
Okay. But like also their logo is actually bad. Like it's just like weird grayscale state of Florida, which is not one of my favorite states to look at. And then like the Champions League ball.
Unfortunately, I can't find anything backing up the soldier soccer in Argentina because every time I typed in soldier soccer Argentina into Google and just refers me to Messi scoring stuff at Soldier Field.
That's actually how they came up with the name.
I don't know. I was reminded today of Germany beating Brazil 7-1. Because apparently Brazil national team, they changed their crest.
Really?
Yeah, they did that a couple months ago, and then someone made the joke in the Soccer and Sweets Eat group basically saying it's like, oh yeah, Brazil, they're some small nation that like no bigger than Canada. And I was like, oh yeah, they gave up 7 goals in a World Cup game. They must not be good at soccer.
What's the best thing about this World Cup? U.S. let up 0 goals at the World Cup.
It's true.
Obviously better than Brazil now.
Yeah.
Women's team about to dominate this summer.
Nashville up 2-0 now.
I'm worried about them in the prolonged future.
As opposed to
The
the
women's team or Nashville?
Oh, sorry, the women's team.
both.
Both. I mean,
This is-
I think no, I have faith with the women's team. It's still we churn out basically the largest academy, and Joe Ellis is the best at what she does.
yep. I think you're right.
Honestly, we could have called her into the men's team and had her improve the men's stuff.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Gee, what a save! Damn,
Thought about bringing my iPad up here to watch it.
I'm. It's just Google. It's just Google. Yeah, thanks, Evan. It's just Twitter for me right now. But TweetTech is great because I have my feed and the show feed right next to each other.
Nice.
I did
Right,
get a
did you-
new phone, the XR
Tenor.
10R.
Are there rumors about Antoine Griezmann going to MLS?
I mean, like, there's rumors about everyone that's like, I'm not playing here anymore. Going
Yeah,
down.
but he and
He-
David Beckham are buddies, so that's the rumor.
Miami
No.
needs to get off the
No.
ground, but the
Come
odds-on favorite for Griezmann he's at 1-20 to go to Barcelona. You
Yeah.
can say this all
he's
he
gonna go
wants.
to Barca or he's gonna go to Uve.
No,
Mm,
you can say this all he wants, but it's completely down to Champions League. If it was about La Liga, he's already won La Liga with Atletico. He's done Copa del Rey as well. It's about Champions League.
Fair.
Yo, Marco Fabian made the
And-
Mexican national team roster, which is curious.
So he's going to.
So that thing,
well, isn't it?
Griezmann still has a lot of time left in Europe.
Yeah.
He can come over in a few years for
Definitely.
MLS when Beckham's team is playing in Las Vegas.
Isn't the Mexican
He's
team
only-
struggling to get people in?
Griezmann's
Probably.
28. Yeah, Vela doesn't want to come in for Gold
Yeah,
Cup.
Chucky's not going to be able to play, and then there's another key player that they have that doesn't want to go. So they're going to
Weird.
be they're going to be playing a bunch of the kids at the Gold Cup.
No kidding.
That's cool though.
Hopefully
Yeah.
we will.
Eh.
Might as well.
Yeah,
Eh.
You don't care. Or you want the old guys. You want the old guys?
Like, you want to win that, don't you?
oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
but
because
but it
then we
doesn't-
don't because
doesn't matter
then we
as
don't
much.
need the Confederations playoff. We don't need the Confederations playoff if we win this one.
Right.
Good point. That's fair. Yeah. Yep.
It's the easiest way to get into the World Cup for
You're right.
CONCACAF.
100%.
Well, we don't go through. You don't go through. The Gold Cup doesn't get qualifiers, but it gets us into the what will be soon the last ever Confederations Cup.
Mm.
I think they'll cancel it after Qatar 2022.
wow, what scenes when Trinidad makes it and y'all have to lose to them in the Gold Cup final? What scenes?
And Adura just put Charlotte up 2-1.
Good.
Nice.
That dude's good. Did you know he's 32?
Yep, that'll be.
I didn't know he was.
And there's
I knew he
another
was,
one in the
like,
league.
older, but
Yeah, he's 32. He's still really good. Well, at least
Yeah.
USL, he's really good.
The big team that I'm looking forward to in like Group A for the Gold Cup is like Mexico, Canada, Martinique, and Cuba. Bermuda's in it this year.
Are y'all going
Curacao.
to any games?
TNT is actually in the United States group.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about, but that game's a random like Tuesday, I think in Kansas City. So I'm thinking about going to that Minnesota
TNT?
game that Saturday.
TNT
Yeah, I'm thinking
game?
about going.
That's in
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Or yeah, Cleveland. There you go. Which I would never go to. So I'll probably try to go to that Minnesota. Well, what did remember Joakim Noah when he was like talking about Cleveland? He's like, yeah, what's there to do in Cleveland? I've never
Right.
heard anyone say like I'm going on vacation to Cleveland. Like I don't
story.
would never want to be in Cleveland. Yeah.
That's a bet. Should we
Yeah.
get this thing off the ground?
Yeah, I forgot that this is our crew tonight. So,
Word. Let's get
Yeah.
hold on. Let me hit record.
Yeah, do that. Do that real quick.
My cue, and I wasn't catching it.
No, it's cool.
We're good.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the USL show brought to you by BGN, Beautiful Game Network of Podcast, BGN.FM at the BGNFM. Also brought to you by a couple other of our friends, Roughneck Scarves, roughneckscarves.com if you need anything related to the scarves. And if you need any other merch, anything like that, check out Golden Goal Press. Definitely good stuff happening over there. This is the USL show. We're a little preoccupied because it's a big Open Cup night and things are happening. We'll talk about that in a bit. I'm your host as most of the time, your favorite podcaster's favorite podcaster and your favorite cheesemonger's favorite cheesemonger, Evan Blau. It's good to be here. Nice to be back. This is my second podcast of the day, so I'm a little out of it. But
Weird flex, but okay.
yeah, man, whatever.
Hey.
Whatever.
It's well deserved in this case. Why don't you tell us what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's weird because no one's gonna see it for like 2 weeks, but
Inside.
yeah. Inside scoop for sure. No, so Austin Deleuze, the captain of North Carolina FC and number 6 for them, literally and sometimes metaphorically as well, runs Playing for Pride, which is a absolutely massive LGBTQ plus community and involvement campaign that donates a ton of money to Athlete Ally through soccer players pledging money and donating if they score goals or get clean sheets, all kinds of fun things like that. Check them out at Playing for Pride on Twitter. But we are doing a 4-part series about openly gay people in USL and how they kind of found community and acceptance and things towards in the soccer community. And because I thought it would only be fair if I was doing the other interviews that I would be the guinea pig. So Austin Deleuze interviewed me earlier today. And that'll be up on June the 1st, which will be Saturday. And then on hopefully the 8th of June, the 15th, and the 22nd, we'll have episodes with me interviewing other people about kind of their experiences. So that's really exciting. But yeah, we break that down in the interview too. But stay tuned on that one. I know it was a weird flex. The guy that said weird flex, but okay, is one of my favorite people, if only because he's just as Philly as I am, even though he moved away. You might know him as Home Sweet Soccer. We know him as Jason. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, guys? Thank you for bringing me back. I'm glad to see that the HR complaints of hiding your face have been approved, and now we don't have to see it. So that's
very good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that's great.
Yep.
Glad to see that you guys are making moves, making steps in the right place.
You know, really what it was Ryan Madden went, guys, listen, we can't let you keep doing this if that's what we're looking at, you know? And I went, you're right. They said the 4th substitution they were thinking about doing for the concussion protocol was actually just a ploy, so that if someone was on our show the week before and they just were like too horrified from looking at me, they wouldn't have to play. But we'll get into that later as well. Anyway, also here, the waviest man in the St. Louis metropolitan area, the cream in your Irish coffee, father of 3, Phil Grooms.
Yeah, father of 3.
Ow.
I came home from work today and it was just loud as hell in here. You know, every kid was going nuts. You
were just screaming, why didn't we win the league?
It felt like a five-person family today for sure. But
I heard that only gets better the more your third child ages.
Yeah,
especially in that 2 to 3 range.
Only get worse. I'm down.
You only have 2 more for your 7-a-side team.
Oh no.
Oh, you're right. Maybe I should go for it.
I feel like that has to get approved though.
Yeah. See, the thing is, I'm scared a girl might have to play on my team.
Whoa.
So.
Ouch.
That's cool to say in 2019, right?
Yeah, that's a very woke take in 2019. Being afraid of women's sports.
Not problematic at all.
No. Who else? Ryan, the USL stats department is also here. Our international correspondent, Ryan Allen. Ryan, congratulations on your eventual Champions League win.
Hoping so. I'm gonna be pretty nervous going up to June 1st, but it's
Yeah.
exciting to made it this far. It was funny. I restarted my summer job this past weekend, and one of my coworkers was born in 2002, and I felt like really old because she was saying like a bunch of slang words that I didn't know. And when she said she got it all from Twitter, yet when I tossed out the phrases TAM, GAM, and ProRel, she looked at me like I'm the weird one.
Really bizarre. That might have been the best joke.
Now
you've
it's
ever made.
like.
Who the hell is this girl?
Yeah, it's like she was born in 2002, so it just felt like weird there. It's like, come on, really, ProRel? You don't. Well, this is what people on Twitter talk about.
I think it was Hope
the worst
Solo.
part of Twitter.
If only she knew what went down.
Guys, this is the U.S.
Soccer.
Soccer, yeah. This is the USL show. We do, in fact, have a show. We're doing it. Do we just want to talk about the Open Cup?
Yeah, I mean, I do think we should cover the concussion protocol. I think that's a pretty big deal, but I think those two things would cover a pretty good show. So
Let's do it. So, yeah, Jake Edwards tweeted out, I think ESPN initially ran the story now.
Yeah, ESPN FC was
Yeah.
the one who initially broke it.
So that's fun. I'm sure there's some ESPN Plus nonsense or whatever happening in there. Be like, hey, give us a couple stories every year and we'll do this or something. The USL is toying around with, and I guess the plans are to implement a fourth substitution for head injuries in the concussion protocol by 2020 or 2021.
Yep.
And this is something that Taylor Twellman, I think, was one of the more early days vocal proponents of it. I think Kyle Martino has jumped on the bandwagon. I think anyone that's watched any soccer in the last year or two and that knows anything about concussions is very much on board with this. And to put it in a less serious way, my dad even thinks that this is a good idea.
They used Jim Vertonghen as the cover photo from that Champions League first leg
Yeah.
for that article.
And it's just, I mean, it just makes sense, right? Like, you don't want to have to punish a team for taking care of a player,
right.
which is really what we're doing now, in a sense. So, having that fourth sub or having a sub that doesn't count if it's due to head injuries is a very welcome change.
I agree. And they're already thinking of some of the things, like, obviously teams are going to try to skirt the rules with this, right?
Sure.
It's inevitable, right? So
Right.
a few of the things they're thinking about is putting a time limit on that sub, where if someone's going to come back in, it has to be within 10 minutes. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
or they're only allowed to come in for 10 minutes until they figure out whether he's concussed or not. There's an argument about whether it's better. See what you guys think about this. Whether it's better to have one neutral doctor check everybody out, or whether each team gets to check it out with their own team doctor. And to me, I thought that was a no contest winner, where obviously you go with a neutral guy who can, try to make sure no one's trying to skirt the rules, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
But what they argue is that no one knows a player like the team doctor. Like,
Yes.
you can ask him certain questions. You can tell if he's normal or not immediately.
Right.
So I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Well, the only problem I have with I think the independent committee sort of thing is how the NFL does it right now, right? And that's been like a nightmare for them, or at least it was, where it's like, there's pressure on, and I guess you have this either way, like there's pressure on that doctor because the team might be like, hey, like, he's good, right? So I like the team doctor idea better, if only because then I think it's a quicker process in a way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, where, like Phil, I agree, like that guy's going to know that player better. There also may be a little bit more, shenanigans from the manager.
And also,
and Jacob Terrell are both agreeing that maybe have both.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Ryan? Sorry.
the thing is if you have an independent third party, you're then looking at having an additional thing that something's going to have to be covered by the host team. That's an additional person that will have to be paid for by the league. And we saw with Vertonghen, like concussions happen in this sport, but if it doesn't happen as often, then that's an additional person you're paying for to just be there as like an insurance policy. So a team doctor who's already there performing a function as a medical staff may be a quicker and easier and cheaper route that some teams would rather prefer.
But like, you also need an ambulance in every game.
I mean, it's huge. It is more money, right? And they're already shelling out money. You know, the home team, I think, has to pay for the refs and for the hotel and all that kind of stuff. So it is adding on to that, but isn't it worth it? I know, especially in USL Championship, I think it's something that should be there. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, so I'm cool with the neutral doctor. I do understand the personality thing, and I'm not a doctor, but I do feel like when it comes to concussions, a doctor should be able to not necessarily have to know your personality to know if something is off, right? Like,
yeah.
so I feel like that shouldn't be an issue, right? And I do think that there's more of a chance that teams are going to try to get around that, right? And have a player say, like, tell a player late in a game, like, hey, this is going into extra time or going into PKs. If as soon as you go up for a header, just go down and pretend like you have a head injury so someone else can sub in. Like it is what it is, right? This is the game. This is what people do to win. So I do think the neutral doctor is the best option, and I do think it is something to where, yeah, you pay those expenses, right? This has been a forefront of a study and topic for years across all sports, right? Bones repair, muscles repair. There's a chance your brain does not. And it's only going to get worse as it goes on. And at least with the NFL, they have where once a player retires in the NFL or moves on, they usually have some kind of medical now that covers it for a certain amount of time. And that was something that they really pushed. I don't think that there's anything like that in USL right now. So that's something important to where, yeah, don't sacrifice yourself now and then later on in life it starts affecting you and you can't get treatment. So spend that money now to take care of these players while you can, because they don't want to suffer later on. You know, and you have players that are 34 years old that retired early in the NFL and waking up in the middle of the night, going downstairs and having no idea. And so it'd be a real shame to see that happen, especially in soccer where, you know, like, yeah, people are probably having head injuries. I watched a game this past weekend, and I think I counted about 6-7 stoppage for head injuries. So it's something that's going to happen more and more. The athletes are more athletic now. They're more physical. So yeah, it's something that's definitely needed.
Do you think there could be a way to, like you were mentioning that earlier at the start, there would be a hindrance against team doctors saying like, hey, take a head injury here, go to the turf, just so we can sub you out. Do you think a hindrance that the league could postulate would be if a player were to exit the game for a head injury, they would have to sit out their next game to ensure that they're
I absolutely like that rule. Or they have to do with, like, so in the NFL, and I don't know how strict it is, but you know, they have a concussion protocol. So I do think what happens is the league then can make a protocol and say, okay, if that person does come out, they have to pass a protocol to get back in. And so, yeah, so whether that's going to be a test, whether it's you have to sit down the next game, you know, whatever that is, I think that's something that teams in the league can agree upon. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, just something that a manager would have to consider if you're going to bring out a player that they won't be able to play in the next match.
The issue with that is you just want to make sure that, because that's what these players decide to keep playing for, because they're like, oh, I know if I go to the sideline and get checked, they're going to say I've got a concussion and I need to sit. So I'm going to pretend like I'm fine. I'm going to get up and keep playing. So you just want to make sure that you don't put too many stipulations, because then managers and players are probably going to try to avoid saying that they have head injuries at all costs, when in actuality, we need them to say it more and say, hey, like, you need to sit down and chill.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's part of the 10-minute, 15-minute rule that they were talking about, is give them 10 minutes, give them 15 minutes, make sure they can go through the whole protocol, because that's what you guys were talking about. The guy, I forgot his name, but the guy that got kicked out of the Champions League and then went right back. Yeah, Vertonghen. So didn't he have a bloody nose or something like that? So they were caring for his bloody whatever, and they said he went through protocol just to get him back on the field. And everybody knows that's not, obviously it didn't go through the proper protocol. So yeah, that's what you're getting at.
And you could tell immediately. And I mean, I was watching the match here at home, and I was in Ocean Away, and you could tell immediately when he went off that something wasn't right with Vertonghen, and he just wasn't himself, and he needed to come out for that.
And and that's the thing. Like I'm saying, you're a spectator watching. I think a neutral doctor would be able to look at someone and tell, like, yo, you are not in the right place. Sit your ass down.
Totally. Ryan, you mentioned the CBA as well. You want to talk about that?
Say that again.
Sorry, the CBA with the players union. You mentioned that in the chat.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see this as being one thing that with the players union starting up, that it could be something they would negotiate in the CBA as another way to have player protections for this next CBA that would come up.
For sure. Yeah, and then maybe they see it coming and they're just decided to, if they're going to ask for it, let's just go ahead and plan on it and look like the good guy. That'd be really smart PR, right? But either way, I mean, I think we could chat about this and argue about it all day. I think in the end, this is a noble cause. Who cares about intentions? I think it's a noble cause, and if it's something that ends up going through, I think we should take the good with the bad and just roll with it and give it a shot. And props to USL being, as far as I know, the first pro league to even consider trying it and implementing it. Maybe as soon as 2020 if they got their stuff together. And odds are,
that's next year.
Do it right next year.
Oh wow!
And
it should be.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Go ahead, Jason. Sorry.
I was just going to say this should be every league across the globe. There's just no excuse at this point, right? There's no stories. There's been research. You've seen the results. It's no excuse. It should be across all sports, all leagues.
Yep. And the rest of the soccer world may be looking at USL for this and point to, hey, if it's working well for this league, this may be something we would want to consider implementing in other leagues across the planet.
Yeah, and hopefully it puts pressure.
So like you said, you think
put pressure and say, so Taylor Twellman, a big activist for this, he should be putting pressure on MLS and say, look what USL is doing. Like this is, so there's no excuse for them to be doing this and you guys can't.
And to take another step back, I mean, and this is where I'm going to be like the USL shill, but I mean, USL has already, this is not the first time that if this goes through and it's a good idea and it works well, this is not the first time USL has done something and kind of everyone's looked at MLS and been like, well, look, it worked in USL. Why are you guys not doing this? And so I think that goes even into the whole, solidarity payments and selling kids on to Europe and, losing them to Europe and USL and just the whole transition of everything, forming academies. Like USL has been pushing MLS and even the world soccer in a lot of different ways. And it's really cool that they're kind of adopting this, early adopters of interesting new things that could be used in the soccer world, not just soccer in the United States, but the entire world. I think that's really awesome. And it's one of the things I really love about the USL.
Best companies are proactive in their industry rather than reactive.
It's well said, Mr. Business Major, Minor.
Mr. Business. That's actually Major. Ryan's shoot last name, not his work last name. His real last name is Mr. Business Major Minor. Hey guys, the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup is literally currently happening. And wouldn't you know it, there's some USL Championship teams in the hunt.
2 finals already.
Yep, we just did another one there. So already through. Pittsburgh Riverhounds over the Dayton Dutch Lions 3-0. Tampa Bay Rowdies took care of the Villages 4-1. Hartford Athletic beat the New York Cosmos U23s.
First win in club history.
And it's over the Cosmos. Woo! Yeah.
Right.
NASL is dead. Long live NASL.
Well said. That's perfect.
Nashville is currently beating Tormenta 2. OKC Energy and the North Texas Rayados are tied at the half, and San Antonio with a comfortable 2-0 lead over Laredo Heat, and Austin Bold 1-0 over Tulsa at the half, which by the time you're hearing this will not mean anything to anyone not listening to that to us live. YouTube.com/the USL show. Quick plug. There you go. Thanks so much. Jason, you're not here for no reason. You're here because we like having you on.
Oh, okay, great.
And we appreciate the energy. But as one of the League One fun boys, y'all are in though. Well, so it's the first year for these teams to be in this league, but it's not the first year for a lot of these teams to be in the Open Cup.
No.
So, let's talk about it, man. Which, like, I mean, where do you want to start? Like,
well, let's start with the team that has the most historical content of the U.S. Open Cup. Let's start with Richmond. Let's start with some Cup winners.
Yeah.
So they're playing North Carolina, and this is one of those matchups to where I think Richmond has the best chance to go far in this tournament, but I don't like their opponent. I don't like them going up against North Carolina, and so this is why. So Richmond had started a little slow, and Coach Bulow has been trying to implement this possession style of play, and now it's actually working. The cylinders are going, everyone's moving. Joe Gallardo is killing it. 4 goals, which is tied for first in the league. 10 chances created, 8 shots on target with a 67% shooting accuracy, which is insane for a number 10, right? So when their strikers haven't been able to put in the ball, he's been the one to step up. Easily their most offensively creative player, someone that I don't think is going to be playing in this league after this season. Definitely will be in championship next season, if not getting some tryouts with MLS. And then also a big reason of the change from Richmond starting to win in their past couple games is they have their center, their defense has always been great, but now what they're doing is they're winning balls in the middle. And Akwe is a big part of that. He's second in the league of clearances with 36 clearances, 14 interceptions, which is third in the league, and he's winning 60% of his duels. And so what's happening is the further he goes up and he wins those balls, he's able to team up with Bolduc and Maxi Rodriguez to go and push. And I think that's where Richmond has their chance. If they're able to win the balls in the middle and they're able to get them to Joe or Mwape or Eli Lockerbie or Charles Boateng, the 4-goal scorer in the first round of the U.S. Open Cup, they're all fast, skillful players and can put pressure on North Carolina. And what I've seen from North Carolina this season is they give up the ball in bad positions, right? If you put any kind of press on them, they gave up a goal to Memphis that way. They almost gave up a goal to Charleston that way. So even though Richmond isn't really the pressing type and they like to build from the back, Akira Fitzgerald as their goalkeeper is probably the best passing keeper in the league. So they like to give it back to him and kind of set it from there. I think if they give some press to North Carolina and they can take that ball away, that's going to be their chance, right? So whether it's winning it in the middle and then sprinting or it's putting in a little press, that's where they're going to have their best chance against North Carolina. But on the other side, their weakness this year has been their set pieces. They've given up a set piece almost every game. They've given up the most set pieces, second most in the league. So, and that's where North Carolina actually kind of looks dangerous, right? They've scored some free kick goals. They cross the ball well and head well. And while Connor Shinowski's been a rock in the backfield for Richmond, I don't know how many set pieces you want to give North Carolina and how many free kicks, because that's probably what's going to be Richmond's downfall.
Yeah, I could see that. My only thing about Richmond is I think they are, definitely, the best looking team in League One. But the way they play, I think it's going to work well in League One. I think in Championship, they'd fail miserably trying to do what they do with the personnel they have, as good as they can be at times. I just worry that they aren't going to be able to pull that off, especially against a team like North Carolina, who, if they try to possess the ball against North Carolina defends well and they counterattack. And that is just like made to destroy a team like Richmond playing their everyday game, at least. I don't know if they're going to change things up. Have you thought about that? Do you think
so? And that's my theme of this. Because of the way the draws are, you're going to see that the way that teams have played this season, their best chance for them to beat these championship clubs is to not play the way they've been playing this season. And we'll talk about it too with Lansing and Indy. And it's just it's just, if Lansing would have drawn North Carolina and Richmond was playing Indy, I think they'd be a lot better competition for both teams and they have a lot better chance. But sometimes it's just a draw and sometimes it's just the way that teams match up. And unfortunately, there's a really tough matchup for Richmond just because of their style of play. And I do feel with Bulow's experience, right? He does have experience. I do feel comfortable with him making changes, but since he's so since he's been so advocate with like trying to implement this and trying to say, you know, keep possession, keep winning the balls in the middle, I think he's going to focus on that. So it's going to be a tough battle for them.
Good stuff, man. Real detailed. Should we move on to another team?
Yeah.
Formenta or Ignite?
So yeah, we can since I brought up Lansing, if you want to talk about Lansing and Indy.
I kind of like that matchup for Lansing. Maybe not because of like, and I think what you said is really accurate about how like none of the like, please don't watch these games tomorrow and be like, oh, that's how they play every week. That's really bad.
That's
like that's not. It's probably not going to be true. It's like any road team in the Open Cup is not going to play how they normally do. It's just kind of how that shakes out. But I kind of like Lansing here only because I think Indy 11 are going to look to the championship because they're not quite playing up to standard in the league, and they might overlook the Open Cup.
And I think the players in Lansing are set up to play well against Indy and upset them, but I don't think that Lansing's playing style is necessarily great against Indy. And so what I mean by that is Lansing is probably the most athletic team in the league. Coach Nate Miller, every player that he got, he wanted to bring in players that can play multiple positions that were extremely athletic. They play pretty much the opposite of Richmond. And even though they're pressing and pressing, Coach Nate Miller says it's for possession, but at the same time, it's not building from the back. It's going to put pressure on you to give up the ball, to take that and immediately capitalize off of that. And probably the most exciting player for me in League One has been Nick Moon. And that's exactly what he does beautifully. And he's one of the best utility players in the league. He's played in the back. He's played in the midfield. He's played as a wing back. So he's been in the final third for 70% of the game at times. And he's just a pressing machine. He's all over the place. He's already had 3 pressings that have caused bad passes that have led to goals this year. 8 interceptions, 5 clearances, and also offensively, he's great too. 4 key passes, has a goal himself, has a great foot. He can bend the ball. So he's someone that is going to be important to watch. But what Lansing does right now for offensively is they like to get the ball out to their speedy wingers for one-on-one situations. And that's Steve St. Duke, Tumi Moshabane. But the issue is they're crossing, right? And they cross, but they have not connected. And so it's working as far as an offensive scheme, but it's just the final piece that isn't working. And so now they've got Ricky Espen back, who was on suspensions. He scored 3 goals and 4 shots. So he's come back and he's put the ball in the back of the net, something that they've been missing. But I don't know if that's going to work against Indy. And I feel that if they keep trying to do that, they're going to leave a big part of their middle open. And that's when Indy takes possession in the middle. And I've seen from this year when Indy gets possession and hits the middle, that's when they're their best, right? That's when they throw in through balls. And I don't trust Lansing's defense on that. So Lansing has scored, they've scored, the second most goals in the league, but they've also given up the second most goals in the league. So it's one of those things to where I don't think that Lansing should try to get into a shootout with Indy and maybe instead try to play like the Houston Dynamo did in CONCACAF Champions League and kind of play back and wait and send those wingers for those counterattacks. And something that I think could really work out, because when you watch Indy against Tampa Bay, that's how Barrett got his red card, right? He got to the ball late when a winger beat him down the line. So if you can beat those backs down the line, that's when Lansing has a chance. But like I said, they don't necessarily play that way, but we'll see if Nate Miller is able to kind of readjust and see if they can change their offensive scheme.
Evan smartly quoted Brian Cook last week on last week's show saying that Indy can attack well, Indy can defend well, but they can't do both at the same time. So, which is exactly right. And so to me, this game could be just a total blowout based on what you're saying right now, that it could just be a goal fest, depending on what happens. So this one really could be fun because I don't imagine Indy's going to sit back is kind of what I'm getting at.
Right. And then one player that might help. So Steve St. Duke in if you've watched any League One or listened to me talk, you've probably heard his name before. He's someone I think can help the game because he's someone that can slow down the game. He's had the most fouls drawn on him on the team. He's had the most successful crosses. And so if they are able to kind of bring him mid, which they haven't tried to do much, I think he's a player that allows for you to slow down the game and kind of focus that defense for Indy to come in and not necessarily go back and forth. So I think he, and then of course the central defensive midfielders are going to be the most important players for the game.
Ryan, you people that are going to listen to this back, or this isn't going to matter to them, but please just tell us what just happened in Charlotte, please.
The Soccer Soldiers tied it 2-2 at 118. And I had just tweeted out basically saying that Independence is leading them at extra time. So I jinxed it, and Charlotte
Jackson was a howler too. Oh boy. Hey, guys, not to derail the Open Cup talk, but it is relevant. What is Charlotte doing? Like, what's happening? I'm so concerned for this team, and yeah, the magic of the Open Cup or whatever, that's fine, but the talent, there's okay, here I'll just say it. I think Brendan Miller is a good goalkeeper. I think Hugh Roberts is a good defender. I think Andrew Gutman's looked well in what I've seen him play. They have Aduro, who's a good forward. They have talent on their roster. This is not Hartford United or whatever, or Hartford Athletic or United. They're not, shoestring budget. They clearly had a vision this offseason and went out and got players. And obviously they brought in Jim McGinnis to do something, or he had a really good series of interviews, and they went, yeah, that's the guy that we want to coach this team, and we see that he has a really clear future, and we can do that. And they just set up this huge youth academy.
Did they bring in enough players though?
Yeah,
well,
I think so.
But why aren't they playing well ever?
It's so bad.
It's not that this is an anomaly and they're playing well in the championship. They got beat 3-1 by Loudoun United.
It's starting to
maybe some things just don't work out.
I picked them as a riser at the end of the season. I think they're gonna maybe improve in the last third of the season at best. Before then, but if they don't all of a sudden surge at the end of the season, I would actually be okay with firing McGinnis. I'm gonna say that now. That's what I would expect is okay. It's gonna be bad for another month or two. And then I expect a major surge at the end of the season with all of this talent.
Because they're in 16th on 6 points right now through 10.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh is in 13th on 11 with 8 games played.
And you know what? I've been thinking about this too. I've thought about doing an article on this. I don't think I have it in me, but I think there's a USL 2 years ago, 3 years ago crew, and I think there's a USL Today crew, and I think they're starting to separate from each other, and I think that's what we're seeing.
You see it in you see it in MLS, and you even saw a separation of USL Today and USL 2 or 3 years ago. That's why you see teams. That's why you've had teams like Dayton, Wilmington, all these sides drop down or eventually just fold the pro side altogether because of a dividing USL Today and USL of years past or a few years ago. Even within Charlotte, you saw it with the Independents coming in and the Eagles dropping out.
Yeah.
Except for Charleston. They've stayed consistent in all the USL.
That's a surprise.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but I think Pittsburgh's gonna get left behind.
I do too. I think I think they are the poster child for that. I mean, to me, you bring in Valesky and Steven Dos Santos, and those guys are just such old school high goal scorers. Yeah. And they're getting run.
They don't have the athleticism and the footwork.
Yeah. And like Angulo has been bad for a couple of years now, but he was a stunner with Pittsburgh like 4 years ago, you know?
Anyway,
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Charleston,
yeah,
Soccer Soldiers
about
going to extra time.
they
Are
play
going to
Greenville
kicks.
tomorrow.
that's
And
amazing.
so the Greenville Triumph, yeah. And so,
Palmetto Derby.
so if you guys like defense, boy oh boy, do I have news for you. This is the one to watch
Phil
because
loves defense.
I'm going to go ahead and put this down as a 1-0 win. Not even going to be able to predict a winner. I just know it's going to be 1-0. So Greenville, defensively, the most organized team in the league. Coach Harks has them running like a well-oiled machine.
Yep.
Only conceded 5 goals in 7 games. I put out my best 11 so far this year, and 2 of their defensive players was on it. And usually you don't want to see that, but I had to, right? Because they're so good, they're so organized. Probably the most consistent defender, in my opinion, in the league, Kevin Pulitz, somebody that you've probably heard of before, a name that you recognize. 22 clearances, 4 blocks, 90% tackle success rate. And he does a great job of just taking the space that he has to, and then also turning that around and starting offensively. So when you go and you look at his pass charts, they're never passes that go across to other defenders on the back line. They're always to the middle. They're always down the side. And that's important for Greenville because all of their offense is down the sides. They rarely play in the middle. If they are passing the ball into the middle, it's just to figure out how to get it back to the side. And a big component of that, and a big player, the reason why they do that is another name you're going to recognize is Tyler Pollock. And he is been very great. I think he's been very good this year, second in the league in interceptions. He leads the league in tackles won. So between him and Pulitz, you're not going to win a tackle. And offensively, he's been great too with 8 key passes. And a lot of crosses. And when I say a lot of crosses, I mean a lot of crosses, because that's all that Greenville does. They have 107 crosses in 7 games, which is the most in the league. But the issue is they're not connecting on them. So they're only connecting on 21% of them. And their biggest issue this year have been scoring. So defensively, they're fine. I don't think they need to change anything. It's just that they don't have anyone that's able to get to the end of those crosses. So Travis Ward came in as a substitute last week and scored. And so that's kind of been maybe like a little glimmer of hope for them. Like maybe he can be the guy that comes on and scores, because Jake Keegan, who's been up top for them, just hasn't been able to really get it done. And so that I think that's just going to be the deciding piece of this game, right? Like who's going to finish their chances, because I think both of these teams defensively are great, and then it's just whoever has the best chance and whoever actually takes advantage and finishes it win. And like I said, I don't see this game being more than 1-0 or 1-1 going into PKs.
Think about Pollock, though. That's good to hear that he's been doing so well, honestly, because I was worried about his speed, and
he gets beat. Trust me, and that's where Pulitz comes from, right? Pulitz has been great at stepping up, coming to the midfield. Even Cole Seiler, who has probably the most skillful center back I've seen on the ball, has stepped up into the midfield, and Greenville does a great job of taking up that space, because Pollock definitely is getting beat when he goes up. But they even at a couple games have started at the wing. They didn't even start him at back. But it's beneficial. He does enough to get back, and he tracks back wells and gets the interceptions. Like I said, second in the league. They just need a finisher. I mean, this could easily be the second best team in the league if they just had someone that can finish it.
Need a target guy in there. That'd be perfect.
Yep.
They need a little Tucci.
You need a loan. They need a loan down. That'd be really cool to see.
I'm
Someone.
sure next time we'll win on loan.
And they have the most roster space available of any team in the league. So I do think this is coming.
Nice.
It's just that I hope, we're a quarter way through the season now, so you don't want to wait too long. And when you look at the standings, and there's 4 playoff teams and there's 10 teams in the league, I think it's just going to be chaos in that 4th spot. I think it's going to come down to tiebreaker, whether it's goal differential or head-on wins. And so it's going to be important for them to get some goals on board.
Yep.
And then Flamingo, right?
Yeah. And then the poor for Madison, they just can't get a home. Even if they win this game, they're not
Yeah.
going to be playing home. They just can't get a home
more
game.
Curious why they ended up in El Paso of all places.
Yeah,
So
you'd have to
weird.
talk. You have to talk to U.S. Soccer about that. I have
Birds
no
migrate
idea.
to the south for the summer. So
Yeah,
there's-
exactly. So it's good for El Paso because Madison's already had to play a game in the snow up in Madison. So El Paso will like that they don't have to do that. But so out of all the games, I kind of think that Madison might have the best chance to advance. And
Okay.
the reason why I think that a big knock is obviously so Madison will not have their Minnesota players that they have on loan playing in the U.S. Open Cup. So
Right.
Minnesota said that they want to cup tie them for the Loons, so that's going to hurt. But I think right now I'm a big activist of playing hot hands and who is winning right now and who's hot. And right now Madison's hot. They started slow, but they haven't lost in their last 4 league games and 5 overall games. And it all was they've always been a defensively sound team. They've conceded only 1 goal a game on average. So what it was they just needed creativity to get the scoring, and that's what they're starting to find. And they're starting to find that through creative midfielders like Paulo Jr., who is just a beast. As far as he's on the 50-yard line, you're not putting pressure on him. He's going to send a long ball through and you're going to be in trouble. So for El Paso to really take advantage of Ford Madison, they need to clog up the middle. You do not want to give Ford time in the middle. And that's what Ford does too. They're not a fast attacking team. They're not trying to counter. They're going to play and set things up. So Paulo Jr. setting things up to Don Smart on the side. Don Smart's had 15 crosses, has had 8 chances created. So he's had a big resurgence and he's been playing extremely well. And, working with Paulo that as the pivot, that's something to where you should that this game's going to be won in the midfield. And El Paso doesn't want to play El Paso's only scored 10 goals this season, right? And they don't want to play this whole, we'll win 1-0 against Ford because that's what Ford wants. Ford wants to slow down this game, have possession, set up a great play in the midfield, through a ball, get one-on-one, and score. So that's why I think El Paso might be in trouble, especially because El Paso's given up 6 of their 9 goals this season in the second half, and Madison has scored 6 of their 7 in the second half. So this is going to be a game that's won in the middle and a game that's going to come down to the second half and who's winning the balls in the middle and who's dictating the speed of the game, right? So is El Paso playing the way they want to play, or are they falling into Ford Madison's playing style?
I will say Ford Madison played St. Louis in the preseason, and they didn't necessarily try to possess the ball against St. Louis. And so I actually wouldn't be surprised if they try to use the counter. And I do think they'll use, you say it was Smart is that winger. He was really good in that game.
But if they do though, I think it's going to be focused on Giro, because Giro's the one that brings that kind of speed and physicality if they want to do a counter. The thing about Smart is he'll be good for the first 60 minutes, but then I think his age catches up to him. So even in his most impressive game this season, where he had 2 goals and 6 created chances, he was the player of the week. He was at the 90th minute. You could just tell he was exhausted. So I think Giro Dreams of Soccer is going to be an important piece if they are going to try to play that counter. And also El Paso doesn't want to foul Ford anywhere within the box, because Nunez is going to come and score. He's an amazing free kick taker, crazy bend, not something that you want to set up, especially in a game that's probably going to end 1-0, 2-1.
Yeah. Well, it just kind of looking back at that preseason game is I don't know if they thought about this. I think they probably knew that St. Louis is a pretty compact team. I really think Forward looked really good in that preseason game doing that. And I think they looked even better than Memphis in the preseason game. Interestingly enough, playing that style of soccer, Memphis was kind of playing a similar role. But the thing about El Paso is they're so open compared to St. Louis. So, if they do play that way and they defend as well as they did against St. Louis, I thought they did a pretty good job, all things considered. I haven't seen a couple of the other teams you've talked about. as much as you have, but I really feel like Forward has a good chance of stealing this one. I don't know
Yep.
if that's a better chance than the other teams you mentioned, but I really like their chances from what
Yep.
I've.
And I think they have the best chance of advancing. And like I said, I think defensively they've been sound. So Connor Tobin, he leads the league in clearances, 42 clearances. They clog the middle extremely well, the middle of the box, I should say. So I'm not worried about that as far as them giving up goals. The thing that they need to watch out for, though, is if El Paso gets the first goal in the second half, then they have to chase the goal.
Mhm.
And that's when Forward starts leaving space open. And while Paulo Jr. is great in the midfield, you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on Eric Leonard, who's delivered. He's a fantastic central defensive midfielder, but you don't want to put that much pressure on him in the second half if you're chasing a goal.
Yeah, I could totally see this being a race to the first goal, and that's it.
Yep.
Sure. Good stuff, man. Any other games?
No, Tormenta 2 is playing right now, but I have a feeling that
They're
Nashville
down
should,
3-1. Nashville.
yeah,
got
should
third in the
handle
52nd
that,
game of history, so
you know.
I think they'll be out.
Props to the kids though for making it this far.
Yeah.
You know, got together. Some of those kids arrived at camp on Monday and then had to play Tuesday, or I think Tuesday against Chattanooga. So the fact that they went and won 3-0, props to them for getting that far.
Y'all, bit of breaking news. You can tell what happened because Ryan audibly said, "Oh my god," a couple times. Phil and Jason, since I don't think you're watching it, you get one guess each as to. Here, I'll spoil it.
Wow, Tormenta 2, they came back and they're winning. Unbelievable! Look at those kids, man.
You guys get one guess as to who missed the penalty that just sent the Florida Soccer Soldiers into the third round of the U.S. Open Cup.
Oh no!
I already know. I saw it in the chat.
Jason.
Is it the face of the Charlotte Independent?
It might be the face of the Charlotte Independent, Enzo Martinez.
Is it Enzo? Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking.
It really is.
Yeah.
Goose, I'm so sorry, man.
That's a lot.
It's rough.
If you wanted a
Florida
microcosm
Soccer
of how the Charlotte Independent season is going, there you go.
Yeah. Is that in
Speaking
Charlotte?
of League One, the Florida
Yeah.
Soccer Soldiers will be playing the winner of Richmond and CFC next round.
So
There you
easily, Richmond has the best chance. If Richmond wins this game, they have the best chance of getting the furthest. And
I think if
it's
Richmond
not
beats North
close.
Carolina, I think they beat that Florida team, to be
Yep.
honest.
Absolutely. And then they would probably play Orlando or some team down here, right? Which I would feel. I think Orlando's playing
Oh,
better,
Wait,
but Orlando.
is
what's
there
up?
a chance? Is there a chance within a region that Richmond will play like Philly or something like that? Is that
They haven't decided where the MLS teams are coming in.
Okay.
They decided the third round, but that's still matching up
Right.
USL against USL or other local qualifiers.
I guess they'll have to do it before we find out if they
Yeah.
do or not.
Yeah, I forgot that Nashville will probably end up playing the Southern MLS teams. So Nashville and whoever wins the Charleston Greenville game.
Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, personally, in my opinion, I do think MLS teams should enter into the third round, not wait for the fourth.
I don't know. I don't necessarily even care about that. I love Taylor Twellman's idea about giving the lower league team the home game every
Yeah,
single
there you
time.
go.
I kind of
I
like
like
that.
that.
Counterpoint: New Mexico United didn't submit a bid to host a Open Cup venue, so some of the lower league teams almost have no interest in hosting.
Well, because they know they're not going to get it, eh?
Well, or they can't. Their
All New
venue-
Mexico has to do is beat Phoenix Rising, and if they go to the next round, they'll have to scramble together a venue.
Right. Exactly. Because it's the baseball stadiums are busy during the week, you know?
Yeah.
So
Tormenta 2 also got one back, so now they're only down 3-2.
Let's go. Let's
There it
go.
is.
Don't
There
count
it
the
is.
kids out. Now, if they win, that's easily the biggest upset
Yes.
of the cup, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like no matter what happens, even if a USL championship beats an MLS team, that's the biggest upset of the whole cup, right?
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Nashville has MLS money, so they might as well be MLS.
Yeah, I mean, imagine like, and that. Oh my God, the internet might explode if that happened.
Right.
Like people are already gunning down for Nashville.
People
for
are already
stuff
mad that my boy Derek Jones is now liberated.
True too.
I would love that Tormenta 2 just takes out like the teams that everyone already like is gunning for on the internet. So they take out the Red Wolves and they take out Nashville.
That's
I'm sorry.
the Cosmos are already out, so that's off the table.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. Damn.
Miami's out too, right? They lost.
Yep, looks like the only thing they'll have left to fight out is
The entirety of MLS.
one fight they still have to win in the courts. Yeah, that
Crazy.
composition thing that they petitioned FIFA for. Apparently, that's getting argued out in the courts.
Right. Oh, sorry. Wait. Hold on. If we're going the things that the internet hates about soccer, then they'll have to beat the Athletic and NISA's social media director.
Mhm.
I don't know. Anthony
or Nisa.
Precourt was playing as himself in the Open Cup.
Are any NISA teams playing? They'd have to beat them too.
Well, Florida Soccer Soldiers have a really good case for becoming a franchise now, apparently.
And NISA?
I mean, whatever.
Hey,
Maybe they're just waiting for teams to win the.
I don't think any team has a good chance of being a franchise in a league that doesn't seem to actually exist, but that's just my opinion.
Stephen, I always love when you're on, Stephen.
there we go. Thank you.
I'll have to be a Shannon Sharp or something. That's cute. Guys, do we want to talk about anything else, or do we want to let these lovely people in the chat and the lovely people at home get on with their lives and watch more Open Cup, maybe?
Yeah, we can catch a few more games, the end of games, if we go now. So I'm
Right.
up for it.
All right, cool.
Tormenta 2. Let's
our
do it.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening, y'all. Sorry for the weird kind of segmented pod. As you can tell, there was things happening, and things certainly did happen. If you want to check out the show or follow us, give us a like, tell us that we're terrible, whatever you want to do, man. It's up to you, or woman. Either way. At the USL Show on the Twitters, youtube.com/the USL Show. Feel free to go check out Jason and all his friends over at League One Fun, at League One Fun. You can check him at Home Sweet Soccer. It's one of the better American soccer Twitter accounts going today, and I'm not just saying that because he's from a city. It's actually just true.
He's saying it because I paid him. You can be honest. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, he slipped me, like 2 big chickens.
Lovely thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, bet we're eating tonight. And then now he's getting the plug.
That's how it works.
Yep. Take care, y'all. See you next week.
That was good.
Phil, are we out?